Hi, welcome to the Sifu Mimi Chan show. Thanks for joining the conversation. Hello, everybody. Welcome to 2023. I cannot believe it's already mid-January as I record this episode. Just wow. First of all, thank you so much for those of you who have been enjoying and commenting and letting me know that the rebroadcasts and the In Case You Missed It Best of 2022 episodes have been enjoyable. Mainly, it was me biding time for some sanity, but also not to be an excuse maker, but I was so deathly ill in December, I could not speak. So I had planned on recording a podcast, I think at the end of November, early December, and I had this horrible sinus allergy attack that literally put me out for over 3 weeks, where I was in my house just trying to recover and stay away from the outdoor situation in Florida, which is historically a real problem for me. And I hadn't felt like that in a very, very long time. There was a series of events that kind of led up to that with my immune system dropping and just being run down. But basically, it was quite an event. And I did finally recover. Just in case you guys were wondering, you can hear my loud self again. But I did finally recover in time to start my 3-week journey with my family. And I am now finally back from that and mostly sane. My original podcast was really to reflect on 2022 and welcome you all to 2023. The intention was for it to have been released the first week in January. Obviously, that didn't happen. I admit 2022 had a lot of ups and a lot of downs on a personal level, as well as just my health ending in 2022 a little bit miserably. But I know that my tendency on this podcast, especially when I get really revved up, or if I have a special co-host, Greg Rucka, with me that also gets me all riled up, I share a lot of frustration and anger and disappointment in, Florida and things in this world and climate change and just there are so many things, right? But I also wanted to highlight a lot of the big accomplishments so we didn't end on a negative note. But now it's already 2023, so I feel like I should just leave 2022 as history. Obviously not forget about it because we want to learn from our history. Imagine that. And just really actually enter this new year, because in 10 days from when I'm recording this, I'll be celebrating the Year of the Rabbit, which is Lunar New Year. And for me, I always bide myself a little extra time for the New Year reset. So this year it came pretty early, so it's not really giving me as much time as I would have hoped. But for those of you who are hearing this and maybe didn't get the 2023 kickstart that you wanted, no worries. Lunar New Year, real New Year reset. So you have some time to kind of get it together, which is really me telling myself that, and focus in on all the things that we are grateful for and how amazing this year is going to be. So I understand that a lot of you were curious about my trip, in which I spent 3 weeks with my family at sea and visiting many, many amazing Caribbean islands where I did get a little bit of downtime. However, I will also say that my family is a lot of energy. In a lot of ways, that's good. And in a lot of ways, that is tiring. But I also tried to get some work done with Lunar New Year coming up. We had a lot of show bookings, so it's not that I got to completely unplug. I know, smallest violin playing for me right now and first world problems, but it did also end a little turbulently. My dad got COVID for the first time, and then because they share a cabin, my sister also got COVID, and because I was immune suppressed from all the medicine that was getting me off my sinus infection, I also then got COVID. So it put me out for a few days. So that last week of the trip was a bit of a challenge health-wise, but really the gratitude part here is that we all got home safely. We're all bouncing back very quickly. Yay, modern medicine. And that's just amazing, right? I think there is a lot of inclination for me to just kind of complain about the whole situation because in it, there was a lot of frustration. But as I kind of reflect on the last few weeks, the fact that we were all able to come home healthy and that I could ring in the new year with the people I love most, and spend Christmas with my family where I didn't have to do any dishes, cooking, or cleaning was actually kind of amazing. My parents and Tina had never spent Christmas away. We've only done so once on our Antarctica trip. So this was the second time for us. But I think they kind of appreciated it as well because I am not the holiday decor guru, or I wouldn't call myself a Grinch because I do try to put up some decorations, a small tree just to have some festivity in the house. But in all honesty, I'm kind of leaning towards getting some sort of sticker that I can put on the wall and take down. I'm getting that lazy, but it was really nice to be able to have like decorations done for you, to be able to walk around and have people cook for you, and just to be able to have my family enjoy those moments as well and not have to host, because we're often the hosts of everything, right? We're often the ones putting on the events and having people in our house. And then as I've gotten older, I know a lot of you are rolling your eyes because I'm not that old, but I will tell you, my birthday, which is coming up at the end of the month, my doctor was like, congratulations, you're now eligible for your first colonoscopy. So yeah, that was kind of a big splash of cold water in my face. So I am feeling the age a bit. And I will say that Oscar and I would talk about how we used to be able to host parties with, 10, 20, 30 plus people and bounce back from it, clean up, no problem. And now I have, 5 people over for dinner and it's, oh my gosh, this is exhaustive. And while enjoyable, and I love every moment of the people that I want to share a meal with, it does take a lot out of us. So yeah, it was really nice to be able to unwind, to sit back, to relax, and to have other people kind of helping pull the weight in terms of the hard stuff. I did miss my cooking though, as did Oscar. The food was not as delicious as my food, not to like humble brag, but it's just not the same, right? So there are some things that we missed, but at the same time, it was really nice to be able to do that. So I'm just grateful for the fact that my parents and my sister have the spirit and energy to go on these trips and to want to dance all the time and have fun. Those of you who follow me on social probably would not have guessed that we had COVID, that we were sick, that there was a lot of challenges and bumps on this trip, because I know you'll see like I was having the time of my life, and I'm just going to look at that as well and believe my social media, and it was the time of my life. So I am super, super grateful though. It was definitely memorable. And one of the things I'm most grateful for, probably the thing I am most grateful for, not thing, but person, is my husband, Oscar. And it's really easy to actually take for granted that something or someone that is always there, right? Like maybe our reliance and dependency on something that, is convenience, like modern technology and running water. And I've shared before, like going to China and going, oh yeah, I really loved having a toilet, right? And so just these things that you just easily take for granted. But I feel like the one person that keeps you sane and the person that actually doesn't give you any problems or operates on a level of making your life easier can often be overlooked. Because for me, and I don't know if this is the same for all of you, but my attention is always put towards putting out fires and doing damage control and working with, students that need extra help, or this is kind of where my energy gets divided. And I think so much can be said for taking for granted those things in your life that make life easier, right? And so he's often here as my co-host, and I'll definitely have him on again very soon. But I wanted to get this podcast out because it has been too long before you all have heard something new. And I know that everyone's really enjoyed a lot of the rebroadcasts, and some of you who are just joining as a newer listener maybe never got a chance to hear some of those because, going back through over 200 plus episodes, isn't always doable for everyone, right? And it's kind of insane for me to look at my queue of podcasts and the episode numbers and realize that I'm at, I think, over 300 now. And even though this last several have been rebroadcasts, honestly, over the last several years, over 5-6 years, I haven't really had too many breaks and I haven't really done too many rebroadcasts. So I'm really, really proud of the fact that I've been able to mostly get things out on a weekly basis. And I am going to try to keep up that momentum. I do have some really wonderful guests lined up for you that I was supposed to record last year, but because I wasn't healthy, didn't get them on time. So I do appreciate your continued patience in me getting these new conversations out to you. And if I do have to throw out a rebroadcast, realize there's a reason I'm doing so. It's probably because I really enjoyed re-listening to the conversation, or perhaps it is a listener favorite and people have asked to, just to have it out there again. So I just want to share more gratitude also for my students who want to continue learning traditional Chinese Kung Fu and Tai Chi and who kept showing up even though I wasn't there. And for the students and instructors that were running the school while I was gone, I was gone for almost 2 months, honestly, because the few weeks I was out in December, I was really not well. I couldn't even go to the temple. And so the fact that the school, the Walam Temple, could still have so much life and so much vibrancy and so much passion and movement is incredible. I love that there is so much desire for learning and desire for working hard, and I would be watching them on camera. So luckily I was able to kind of see what was going on and be able to give notes and everything, but it's not the same when you're not there, right? It's just like anybody else who has a small business or has something they're running, whether it's a restaurant, even though you have a chef and they're cooking, if you're the owner and it's your labor of love and it's your heart and soul, things don't go the same when you're not there. So you really can't be away too long, but I am just incredibly amazed by the fact that my team can carry on the tradition when I'm not physically able to. And I feel and hope that that's how my father feels, right? That, he's at a phase of his life where he still wants to go there every day and tend to the bamboo and the fish and see the, students training and spend a little bit of time there. But he's by no means teaching the classes or doing any of the day-to-day operations. He gets to kind of just go and oversee and spend the time he wants there, do his incense. And I hope that he feels that way about me, that the tradition is going on because I have things in control. And I love the fact that generationally, this is what it's about, is having this lineage and having something continue to be perpetual, right? And just the proliferation of the system. And so it's just kind of it's a quick test and to see that this will go on even when I am not here. And I feel a bit of confidence when it comes to situations like this. And you see kind of a little window of what that might be like. So don't worry, I won't be off moving to New Zealand anytime soon because I feel like the school is good. I still very much have a lot more to do, but it's just heartwarming and a relief to kind of see that students still want to come to train. Lunar New Year shows were still being booked left and right. It's actually lining up to be quite a crazy year. We actually have our first show starting tonight. I'm recording this on the 12th and we go all the way till February 11 right now. That's my last show. And I don't know, it is the last one. We literally have people like kind of hounding us, banging down the door for more lion dances and more kung fu performances. So it's really incredible to see how many organizations are celebrating New Year this year and how many people are really excited to be out again and to be celebrating together and to be bringing in the new year in this way. So it's been quite a lot. I'm also really grateful for my Make Us Visible team, especially the national team. Jeff and Kate have been instrumental in keeping Florida going and in very, very, very hands-on in helping me with my mission. And I also have some great volunteers and new AAPI leaders across the state that we've met that have been mobilizing in their areas. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Make Us Visible Florida is the is part of the nationwide organization that is moving to include Asian American and Pacific Islander history in our public school system as a response to the anti-Asian hate crimes that we've seen around the country. And it's something that I started last year. I got a bill written and it didn't go through, but this year we are really, really poised to see that happen. We have been working around the clock. And when I say around the clock, I mean I have been working around the clock. I've literally been on the phone nonstop, sending emails, going to legislator offices and meetings. I just came from a big one today where I was going back and forth several times just to make sure I could get some FaceTime. Building relationships. It has literally been a more than 40-hour-a-week full-time job. And for those of you that know me, know that I already have a more than 40-hour-a-week full-time job. The Kung Fu School is a full-time thing. It's a 12 to 16-hour day. And I would not be able to do this without the support of the team that I have and without the encouragement. So I'm really grateful for that. I'm really excited to see this legislation through this year. Despite the fact that I know Florida's legislative landscape is challenging because a lot of people aren't really quite sure what that's going to look like in terms of government and laws being passed. But I've been doing a lot of conversations and learning a lot about government. And I've learned I definitely don't want to be in government. So after this, I'm hoping to be able to take a step back and see the education part kind of moving forward with some other people that are ready to take that initiative to the next step. But I'm really grateful that I've had a chance to do it, that I've had a chance to make a difference in the future of so many people. And I really believe that learning about the civic contributions of Asian Americans will do that. I know that it's something that was missing from my education. I know that for us to see other people of color from different backgrounds and people as Americans versus as foreigners is going to help in curbing ignorance, misunderstanding, and the hate that we're seeing. And for those of you that aren't aware that that is still happening, it is very much still happening. It is maybe not publicized as much as it could or should be, but it is very much still a concern of public safety for our community. So if you want to get involved, by the way, quick plug for Make Us Visible Florida, you don't have to actually live here. If you just want to help Florida be one of the first states to pass, we've had several pass already, but we want to be the next one, and you think that would be worth your time, please reach out to me. I am always looking for capable volunteers, and you would be surprised what that means. Very great dear friend of mine, Dr. Mark Chang, and I talk all the time about things can be bite-sized. Like, just because you say you volunteer doesn't mean you have to do the 40 plus hours of work like I do. It means you could literally volunteer to send 1 or 2 emails a week, or even check in monthly and help us do some graphic work. Like, it can be whatever level of support or volunteering you can do. And we are also open to donations now because Make Us Visible is a nonprofit, and we do have the means to now take fiscal sponsorship, which does help us with things. I need to go to Tallahassee a bunch of times this year, so any help is always appreciated. Which leads me to my next level of gratitude, which is to my patrons of the show. And not just this show, but the Sifu Mimi Chan project, I think I'm calling it now. So this is the Sifu Mimi Chan podcast and show, but really it's become a project, and Make Us Visible is a huge part of that. The community work I do there, obviously with the Walam Temple, I do so much with the community here as well. We really try to do so much that is enriching for those around us and inspiring. And so your support allows this podcast to literally keep going, which is a passion project of mine, but also gives me resources to utilize to help me do some of the work that I need to do. And that way I can put my efforts towards the things that I'm good at and more useful doing. So for example, I've got someone helping me edit this. Shout out to my podcast team, because honestly, I don't have the capacity anymore with the work I'm doing. So my patrons literally help make that happen for me. And some of you are so unbelievably generous and want to remain anonymous, and that's fine. But please go to sifumimichan.com and check it out. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon, it's patreon.com/sifumimichan. And you would be surprised, but any amount is totally appreciated. It all adds up. And like I said, actually does go towards giving me the resources to do things that I need to do for the community and the work that I feel really passionate about. And I definitely don't get paid for, and I'm not looking for payment. I just want to be able to have the resources I need to continue to do the work I do. And so many of you have shared and encouraged me and have been so supportive in all of the efforts that I'm making. And so I just want to thank you so much. Whether you can't donate, that's fine, but have just encouraged me through comments or sending messages. All of that is really appreciated. I know it may not even seem like much to, tell me, hey, I'm really glad you're doing this, because it means something, because I was worried about, my kid being bullied in school, or I was worried about my parent going to the grocery store and having, anti-Asian hate or any kind of discrimination. So anybody that's been able to share why the work I do is important, like that really matters, and it helps reinforce what I'm doing. Because I will be honest, there are days where I am really tired. There are days where I feel like I need to move forward and I need to take a break. I need to do the mental health break. And I've done that a couple times last year, but it didn't stop me from podcasting or teaching or doing Make Us Visible work or doing all of the 800 other things that I'm not going to list right now. So I still keep going, and I'm going to keep going, I think, until maybe I can't. But I do appreciate all of the encouragement that I have gotten from all of you, and from my listeners who has been so very patient with me and the podcast. Thank you so, so much. I know you're curious what's in store for 2023. Hopefully there'll be more fascinating conversations with creators and social justice people and inspiring humans. I get to talk to the most amazing people, and hopefully all the moons will align with some of the things I have lined up for you. Some of them are repeat guests. As you know, I like to keep the conversations going with the amazing humans that I've had on this show. I have so many repeat guests because honestly, they have so much more to share and so much more to teach me. And selfishly, I like to use this platform to learn. And I've heard that others like it too. So I'm going to keep doing that. And if anything, you know that my dear Greg Rucka is always a hit and never lets me down. So hopefully he'll be back for a bunch of episodes as well. I have some lined up that I don't want to share quite yet because they have not been recorded, and I have not a superstition, but I just don't want to throw it out there until it's ready to go. But I am also so appreciative of anybody that's taken the time to talk to me on this podcast, because it is an hour of their day, and time is that commodity we can't get back. It is the most precious thing. And for those that sit and want to share with me and have these conversations, I am so appreciative. My guests are absolutely the best. Many of them have become very good friends of mine, which actually is a bit amazing, because a lot of the reason I reach out to a lot of these guests is because I'm a fan, or I admire their work, or I am, just admire of all the things that they're doing. And so for me to actually be able to call many of them friends is absolutely remarkable. So this passion project that started at the end of 2016, out of frustration and just wanting to find a voice that could kind of share what I was feeling separate of who I was at Kung Fu. And that's all changed since then. I think has really become something nourishing for me, has been something where I get a chance to learn and connect with wonderful people, both on the podcast and off, and also just the feedback I've gotten from all of you listeners has been absolutely rewarding. So thank you for being with me on this incredible journey. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for those who actually support me in more ways than I have asked for. And I didn't do a video on this because I'll be completely honest, I'm just all over the place right now, and I'm totally sitting here in my fuzzy, warm PJ robe and just wanted to do a podcast where I could finally get in touch with you all, give you an update, and not recording video was a way to do that. So lucky you, you don't have to see me on video on the YouTube this time, but please let me know what else you would like for me to cover in 2023 and give me ideas. I know a lot of you have been interested in some of the things I'm reading and digesting, and I did just listen to Trevor Noah's book and autobiography, and that was absolutely amazing. And shout out to my student Hip, who fast-tracked pushed us to read it because he was just enjoying it so much. And, as somebody who got to see him live and watch his show and also just a fan, it was really great. So I am going to be continuously taking suggestions for reading as well, and maybe talk to some of the authors. I don't know that Trevor Noah will be on the show, but if anyone knows him, send him my way. I think we'd have a lot to talk about. But I adore all of you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for encouraging me. Happy New Year and Happy Lunar New Year. I don't know that I'm going to do an actual Lunar New Year episode this year because there has just been so many shows, and it's going to be crazy and hectic with firecrackers and lion dancing and lots of performances. So just follow me on Instagram or social media and you'll be able to see some of those performances. And I hope I survive until February 11. Keep your fingers crossed for me. Drop me a line. I always love hearing from you. Thank you again for your patience. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful 2022 and that this year is going to be absolutely incredible. Thank you for joining the conversation, which is something that I've really come to appreciate in a lot of different ways, that kind of catchphrase that I created for myself. Because for me, I think conversation has been a lot about listening versus speaking. And of course, this episode has just been me speaking, but I am looking forward to hearing what else I have to learn here in this new year. So I will talk to you soon. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to the Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Please subscribe and rate my podcast on your platform of choice and leave a review. You can become a patron of the show at patreon.com/Sifu Mimi Chan to help keep this podcast going. Follow me and interact on social media at Sifu Mimi Chan on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.